So there we go. Recording is live. I'll hand it over to TJ for a brief introduction and then over to Henry so he can introduce himself for those of you who are unaware who he is. TJ, take it away.
Alrighty. Super proud to introduce you guys to Henry finally. This has been a long time coming now. He has been putting in incredible work behind the scenes that's going to drive the future of ARC and the future of DeFi as a whole. Henry, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. Pleasure to be here. Right now, working on a lot of stuff on ARC, especially on research, development, and all that kind of stuff. And I've been involved on researching on publish some paper, especially those that are related with smart contracts and source code generation.
Yeah, you want to talk a little bit about your published research paper with Springer, or you want to drop the link in the chat so the guys can check it out in general?
Sure. Yeah. So I was involved in research that was related with how a smart contract can be developed, can be generated, created only once, and then can be deployed on any kind of blockchain. So the research itself was started like 2017, and it is involved with several universities, and mostly the contributor comes from the Netherlands, Tilburg University.
Yeah. Speaking of Tilburg, you want to kind of give the guys a little bit of a background on that and our work with them?
Yeah. So the work with them, it was like they don't have a lot of knowledge in terms of smart contract and blockchain, but they have a lot of connections with all these blockchain ventures and all that in Europe. So the goal at that time is that what is this blockchain? What is this smart contract? Is it something like like an alien, like only tech
Some high-level software engineering theory.
Right. So the idea was like, can we as a layman or as a business people, how can we understand what all these developers is doing? What happened is that we spent a lot of time, like months or years, and then only after that, we understand that actually we are not on the same page with the developers. That's what these stakeholders came to me, all these researchers came to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to to develop tools to visualize what is exactly behind all these smart contract kind of things. Call it smart, and then what is smart? Call it contract. What is contract, right? So basically, it's just a software program.
Well, mind you, Tilburg is one of the top-ranked universities in Europe too, and it really shows how we're at the forefront of innovation and research in the space that they don't understand, what we're developing quite yet. But Cardano definitely did. If you want to kind of drop a note there about how Cardano wanted to adapt some of the technology we're going to be bringing the platform forwards with.
Yeah. So I've been in discussion before with IOHK, and then they have ARM companies, which is called the runtime verification. So what runtime is doing is that basically they fork EVM, and then they create additional layer on top of that, so that they know exactly whenever a smart contract being executed, they know exactly how to debug all those things. This is kind of different than how a smart contract we know running on top of a actual Ethereum EVM.
Yeah. In breaking this down, guys, essentially runtime verification can debug whenever these functions are set up, and it helps show the individual user of the program exactly where the bugs are coming from, what's going wrong in the compiling and generation of the code. A prime example of this, which we're going to delve further into later, is with our generator. Say we upload all of Synapse's code base and all of Uniswap's code base and all of 1inch's code base within a couple seconds, because I mean that's how our generator works. And we're trying to combine various functions from these different code bases. Say we want a function to search the individual liquidity pools across 1inch and Uniswap and treat the liquidity pools as one centralized entity so our users can find the cheapest prices automatically. Like it's another way of saying getting you the best price is having a function that searches through that backend. What runtime verification does is find the bugs in connecting these different source codes, for example, right, Henry?
Yeah, right. So basically what they want to do is just to analyze, to figure out whether a smart contract has a bug, like someone wants to drain inside of a pool contract, for example, so they know exactly before it happens.
And
But
that's
yeah,
yeah, exactly. And that's a huge problem right now is whenever you're generating this code, whenever you're trying to compile it towards the end, it doesn't really show you the exact spacing and the logic that doesn't work. And the generator comes in here as well. Do you want to kind of talk a little bit more about, I believe you said you dealt with the CEO of Cardano and they wanted to privatize the model behind the generator?
yeah. I mean, like runtime verification is sophisticated. We must admit that. I mean, it's developed by a famous university in the US. But the problem is that it's so difficult to, for
For the
other
average
people,
person, yeah.
person to understand about it. Even the Cardano themselves, it's hard for them to understand what these guys are doing.
Yeah,
So yeah, so that's why I came with this visualization kind of things to get the user to understand by using the UML, by using diagram, which I think most people quite understand. Whenever you understand about PowerPoint, then you can understand about diagram. I think that's what they said about this.
yeah,
And
it's
then yeah,
imagine guys, oh sorry not to cut you up, Henry. But imagine guys, you have 10,000 lines of code. Unless you're a developer and you have hours and hours and hours to delve into this code, understand the algorithms behind it, the thinking behind the person that originally put it out there. It's going to take forever to understand everything that's going on. Furthermore, you have to replicate your understanding of the code base to your entire team. So this communication across the board, it's really slow. And what Henry has developed, what we're working on here, is essentially the missing piece. You can take any code base, upload it, and not only can you generate pieces in between code bases, but it also generates an array behind the logic of every single code base. So you can click on any specific function and it has an array automatically generated showing exactly what functions it interacts with, exactly what the functions do. And it's pretty incredible.
yeah. I mean, I would like to show you guys here how it works. I mean, when you see it, it seems like okay. Seems so easy rather than to discuss, by using verbal explanation of this. But yeah, essentially what you're doing with this tool is that you just need to copy paste the contract that you want to reverse engineer. Here in this case, you go to Etherscan. For example, you find some contracts, you copy paste the address there, and then paste it in the tool, and then the tool will generate the diagram. And no matter how complicated the source code is, the base smart contract that you are trying to retrieve, it will only take like less than 10 seconds
It
for,
took
for
less
the...
than a second when you showed me earlier
Exactly.
in
And
that
then,
model.
yeah, so it's not only retrieve the contract, but at the same time, the dependencies of the contract will be also pulled by the tools itself. So what happened next is that you can see the correlation between all this contract, but it's not on a source code on a text base, but you can see on a visual base. The
It's
kind of thing like
diagram. Yep.
diagram. Exactly. And then this diagram itself, when you click any of the properties, it will show you
It'll pull up the
how the
logic.
logic can be. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
like a simple tree, like yes or no, left or right. That's it. So it's kind of easy to understand rather than when when you see the source code itself on over the Etherscan.
And guys, I'm
That's
sure, and even Ryan could probably speak to this, but just going to Etherscan, reading the contract, it's so complicated. It's even complicated for developers to look at. Just imagine being able to instantly take any source code and have a diagram with all the logic mapped out, just instantly generated, and then being able to add to it as well. Henry, do you want to kind of break down what that interface looks like? Say I upload all of Synapse's source code, for example, and um, which, I mean, let's just say we have a little bit of the top competitors in the industry already modeled out in this generator. Let's say
yeah,
we want to bring our platform to Solana, to AVAX, to Cardano, whatever it may be.
yeah.
Um, how would one go in there, upload the source code, and then add our code into it? How does that interface work? Is it as simple as a click of a button?
Exactly. You don't even have to type like
You
typing
don't even have to
as
type.
source code. Exactly. You don't have to type like if you know Solidity, you don't have to type the function and then import kind of stuff. There's no such thing. So there's a question here. Is it a flowchart generator? Yes, it is a flowchart generator, but it's a two steps, two layers of flowchart generator. It means that when you see the class diagram there, but when you click each of the properties of diagram, it will show you the logic behind it in tree-based manner. Okay. And regarding what you asked, people retrieve the source code, and then you just need to pick on the diagram which function you want to edit. When you click it, it'll show you input based kind of stuff. Just drag and drop, click over the properties, and the properties itself is already have a predefined functionalities there,
Hmm.
which we provide. And then when you click each one of them, it will show you how it works, and then it will be saved on your local computer. And then after you modify it, and then it will generate a full project there. Full project means a full Solidity and JavaScript project. Okay, so with this output, you just need to download to your local, and then using your what is it your npm or whatever, you just need to build it and push it back to any EVM network. So
Yep.
that's it.
And Madminer, it is not just a better flowchart. It literally it generates an entire project. And just speaking to some examples of what you can do with this, I mentioned Synapse. If you guys are familiar with that, um, we could replicate everything that Synapse is doing with practically the click of a button. We go in there and we instantly understand the logic. It doesn't take days and weeks to break it down. We can switch addresses. We can add new liquidity pools that it'll reach to, that it'll reach from with the properties on the side with that pane. You can add new functions. Say we hook it up to 1incher, we hook it up to Platypus Finance, and we access a different type of liquidity contract. It's it's really incredible. I can't stress enough how much faster this makes development. Uh, I mean, honestly, one developer could take this. I was thinking about this earlier as a joke, Henry. Uh, one developer could use the generator and get like 10 jobs and be more efficient than most other developers at the job. It's like,
Yeah, I've been
several
trying to tell
paychecks a
people
month.
in the Discord like how impressive this is because I'm in these internal meetings, right? So I know what's happening, and it was early enough on that I couldn't really tell everybody everything that's happening, right? But I can see what's happening behind the scenes, and it's tough to convey that, right? And one of these questions, Henry, I think this is a perfect place for it. It's
Yeah.
what will Arc be able to do with this? How much faster will it make our development ability?
All right. So the thing is that it's not only make everything faster by having Arc being developed by, the exclusive developer, but it also opened the door where the community also can be participate as a developer for those who,
Mm.
for eager to learn about this. And then for those who have the ideas, it opens the door that, hey, I got these ideas. I forked this smart contract from X to Y2 from, whatever smart contract, the super duper contracts there. And then you can bring your own ideas there and you can, share it to the community. So we
Well,
can follow up based on that after that. Yeah.
and let's break it down into like an algorithm. So we have X as in how much faster it can be initially for every developer using it, and then we have Y for the scalability of the community coming in and developing with it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
let's hit this X variable right now. You do not have to type a single line of code. You can upload the entire source code for, I mean, X2, Y2, OpenSea, whatever. You can upload the entire smart contract and it diagrams it with the logic attached. And then
Yeah.
you don't have to type a line of code. You can literally press a button and it generates that entire code that you need to connect it to. Let's say you wanted to connect to a staking contract or just whatever contract you want to connect it to. You don't have to you don't have to type it's pressing a button versus typing 50 lines. I mean, you can't really quantify how much faster that's going to make things. It's a quantum leap ahead in smart contracts.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, the most difficult stuff as a smart contract developer for me, smart contract engineer, is how to understand the code. It
Yeah,
means
there's
that you
that too.
go line by line, right? So honestly, this can save like 40%, time consuming onto how I understand how other developers is doing it. Yeah. And then it's that's 40%. And then for the typing itself, it took like 10% over time. So we can say that, let's say we cut half of the total development time. I think that's what if we want to quantify, like in terms of hours, we can save on like half of a development time in total. But but the most important thing is that you can understand how your smart contract will be. You don't have to be defined on the contract that you fork. You see, this is the main use cases is that, for example, like Uniswap. What is the best of Uniswap? It's cheapest for sure. But the thing is that it has limited functionalities for other
Exactly.
developers to put on top of it. And then there's 1inch. 1inch is more expensive than Uniswap. But the thing is that it has a good additional layer on top of it if you want to extend the functionalities. So the question is that what happens if you want to give people the best combination of those two? You cannot combine as is
Well, and let's think
because
about this.
yeah.
And let's
Yeah.
think about this too. If it only takes 10% of the time to code now compared to before, and 40% of the time to understand the logic compared to before, there's always that differentiation between your understanding, Henry, being, like the nuclear physicist of crypto, and your average developer or someone just breaking into blockchain development. There's that loss of understanding in between, and that loss of understanding in between. If we look at it like an array, you're at the top, there's 2 people underneath, 3 people underneath them. Every single level down, that's going to be further percentage loss of understanding. You've taken essentially what we have here is the logic is succinct and concise, clearly across the board for every level of person going in. There isn't a senior document where the senior developer typed out the doc. The junior developers don't really understand it, but they're like, okay, I'll try to do that. No, it's yes, no, it connects to this function, that function. It's diagrammed out in a beautiful flowchart. It looks like artwork. And I mean, there's that piece of it where the logic is super succinct. Then there's a piece of it with the coding. Only 10% the time is before. But I think the ultimate piece that comes into it, and why I'm going to disagree with you on the making things 50% faster, I truly think it's a quantum leap. I mean, when people invented the airplane, they didn't know how it was going to move into the world and how it was going to shape up every single industry and economy going forwards. It was there, and everything else had to develop and advance to where they could take advantage of that new tech. But if we're moving into the side of things where we try to understand these different source codes, and like what we're doing here at ARC, for example, it's very far out of reach for people that don't really have an imagination. Like most people come into this space, they're like, I want to be 5% cheaper on swaps. That's it. And then how they're going to get there doesn't really matter. They might just cut some costs on an API. They might not take as much profit as they could. That's not really innovating. When it comes to innovation, it's combining all these different repositories and pieces of source code in a new, unique way that serves the future generation of users, like Sergey Nazarov from Pain, like he talks about composability. This is taking composability and scaling it 1000x, because anyone can go in here, they can make their smart contracts, but then they could replicate what the best companies in the industry are doing, mash them up with other companies like that, and then they have an entirely new smart contract that can handle extremely complex financial calculations. And it didn't take years to develop. It didn't take billions of dollars to develop. It took one person with the vision to execute on it. And that's that piece that's just unquantifiable, because we have, where we can say it's going to be 50% faster. It's going to be 100% faster on the coding side of things. But we also have that piece of there's all these bases of source code across the entire industry, and we have to combine them. Like that wasn't even feasible before. You can't just reach into smart contracts across the entire industry and combine them, mash them together. It just doesn't work. But now it's,
Right.
I mean, you throw it together and it's a masterpiece. It finds all the pieces of logic in between that don't work, and it compiles the solution. And it's incredible.
Yeah, and people may not realize that this development has been going on completely irrelevant to what our roadmap has been, right? This has been in the works alongside what we've already been developing with our NFT marketplace that's coming up and everything else. And for you, Henry, from the community, about how far along and how much progress have we made on this already?
All right. So the tool has two main functionalities. The first one is that you retrieve code and you generate diagram. Okay, this part is done. And then the other half part is that after you edit that diagram, and then it will generate a full source code. The source code that you can execute even on your own laptop without having to be attached with Arc platform. So those part will take like around 4 weeks for me to complete that. So let's say we are 60% right now.
And this is completely on top of everything else we've already been developing. We've been kind of developing this in the background, not really leaking this kind of alpha or information while we've been developing everything else that we've been working on. So yet another thing we're going to push through the roadmap that wasn't even actually on there in advance.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I
So,
mean,
Mhm.
What are you saying, Henry?
Yeah, so yeah, what I mean is that with NFT marketplace, which is going to be released very soon, with all the existing solutions that we have, product that we have, this generator will add and open the contribution from our communities. They can, you can submit your own protocols there, and instead of using Uniswap, why not using, for example, like Ryan Swap or whatever swap, for
I
example,
like the
right?
name of that. We'll call it Koala Swap.
Koala swap.
Yeah. So another one from one of our interns, right? What kind of ideas have we already put into place for this kind of technology we've been developing, and what direction and plans do we have apart from just using what the community has? Because I already have several in mind, other projects that are up and coming that may still be in beta testing and stuff. I've thought, man, that would be awesome to incorporate in a week's time, just pulling that on board and their feature. What are some of the features that we think this can really help us kind of bring to our platform?
Henry, without dropping too much alpha, let's talk a little bit about the wallet and the Chrome extension, because I think the community thinks that we're just developing a basic MetaMask clone and a
Mhm.
basic, Chrome
Yeah.
extension. Can we talk a little bit about the sophisticated architecture of that and the type of liquidity it'll reach?
Yeah, yeah. So about the wallet, I mean, like MetaMask right now is obviously the number one leading of his the wallet in the industry. But the problem is that the code is all open source. Everybody wants to fork it. Everybody wants to, to create their own MetaMask based on those source code. But the problem is that source code is such a messy. I mean, and then I decided, okay, let's just build it from scratch, and then apparently it's just like 1/10 of this MetaMask base code. So we are in there. We have our own extension for that, and the extension itself can communicate within different kind of tabs if you're using your browser. So the idea is that with generator being developed right now, and then with the wallet itself, and that you can connect between these of two with our platform basically. So that's the idea. And then how it works is that it's not only working for the idea is not only working for EVM based, but also to any kind of blockchain. The kind of blockchain that I share with you, the paper, that's exactly what is going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, was that the heterogeneous blockchain paper?
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Heterogeneous platform.
Um,
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
well, and then just delving a little bit further, we can't drop too much on this yet, Henry. But can we talk a little bit about the smart contract factory that's powering the wallet, and how it can tap in all those order books and liquidity at the same time? And then I'll kind of expound on the UI front.
Yeah, so basically, whenever you want to create your own project there using the tool, you just need to set up what will be the earning base percentage revenue there. So you set, for example, like 45, 45, and 10% on your contract. It will connect with the factory contract, and as the factory contract itself is the contract that we provide for you, so you can easily tap on that. You can easily extend on that. And then you don't have to worry about how the correlation with the earnings, with the revenues, with the staking, everything, all that, because the factory contract will manage all these functionalities.
And a prime use case of how we're utilizing that tech um, will be in our factory that connects to multiple centralized exchanges without having,
Centralized, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
guys,
Centralized text, that's, yeah, name
you
it.
don't have
Yeah.
to make an account for any of these sexes. You don't have to have an API key. You can access the best liquidity in the market, centralized and decentralized, from our wallet.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I mean, if we're talking about barriers, all of them are gone right there. It doesn't matter, what country you're KYC'd in. Through the smart contract factory, in the back end, you're going to be able to access all types of liquidity across the market.
And also, if we fork, for example, like Codex or Synapse, you can create your own pools, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot, guys. Okay, what's the next piece we're going to discuss here?
Community wants Henry as the next Alexa voice assistant. You got that soothing voice, Henry.
By the way, I will share with you the YouTube. I mean, some guys, yeah, Europe University, I think, in Finland or Sweden. I think they extend the paper that I have, and they create some sort of a voice assisted smart contract generator. I will
No
share with
way.
you. Yeah.
It's called the Henry.
But it's not using my voice.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the open source foundation and how that's going to work, and how ARC can make its move into being a DeFi reserve currency.
Yeah. So the idea is we open source the tools, and then we have open source like if you are quite technical, you are familiar with npm.js. So basically, it's a repository of all the code there. And then the problem with having smart contract code is that how about the audit, right? I mean, audit itself, it can cost you a lot of money. But if we're having this kind of foundation, we basically we can audit all together, we can develop all together, and then at the end of the day, we can reduce a lot of costs based on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
well,
moving forward, I think it's like you are having your, like, let's think of Arc Marketplace as it's like a Play Store, and then you can just deploy, upload your changes, applications there. This is something that I've been thinking about and we've been discussing. Yeah,
marketplace.
exactly. Marketplace, right?
Yeah, and kind of breaking down how I mentioned the DeFi reserve currency. You guys know we're developing different streams of revenue right now that's going to come into ARC and be part of revenue sharing. We have revenue from the farms, swap, NFT marketplace, bonds revenue, LP revenue, trade station, arbitrage, the bridge, are essentially exchange revenue. We don't even have to make a centralized exchange. We can just utilize the factory that I mentioned and take advantage of the best liquidity in the market. You will always be quoted the cheapest price. But let's break it down a little bit further. With the advent of this generator and providing it to be open source for everyone to use, instead of going with a model that was proposed before, to just block off access to this generator, we're going fully open source. We want it to be accessible to everyone with like a 10% revenue share on top. So let's say, for example, people develop the next Uniswap, or they develop the next Coinbase but decentralized using our generator. There'll be a 10% revenue sharing fee on top of that, and it'll automatically share back to our ecosystem and go back to our users. And because of all these different revenue streams coming in, it's going to be able to essentially balance the index out that backs the ARC token. And the idea with this is not to close any opportunities for people coming into the space, because 10% isn't an enormous contribution at all. And in fact, we'd be accelerating their entire business model. But everyone's revenue would come back to feed into ARC, and because of that, they'd want to hedge by holding ARC on their balance sheet. And then with that extra revenue coming in, ARC just continues to expand and expand and expand, because we'd be platformizing the entire space and developing the base for the entire space that DeFi needs. Right now, there isn't really a shared set of tools that everyone uses that's really at the bleeding edge of what DeFi is. And this generator, the ecosystem we have, the programming language behind the generator, everything going into it is just, it's an amazing springboard for anyone in DeFi that they can use our generator, reduce their go-to-market time by a ton, reduce their development costs by a ton, and develop something amazing, all while paying back to our ecosystem and backing Arc.
Yeah,
With,
I don't think
yeah.
people quite understand the significance of this. So let me try to help as well, right? In the business of crypto, everything is extremely fast, right? Everybody wants it now. They want it yesterday. Why is it not out right now, right? Even the most basic of a swap protocol, trying to improve swaps, they're 3 to 6 months for time to market, right? Because you've got the research phase, you have to go and hire the dev power, right? You may need 6 to 10 developers to help you. You've got to program it, and you've got to get this whole thing up and running off the ground, and you got to come from scratch. The generator allows these companies that may have the ideas, and imagine all these ideas that people have had, and maybe they've come from a place in the world or a financial background where they didn't have the capital to be able to move forward with their ideas, right? Imagine if Elon Musk never launched PayPal and he didn't have the capital to continue forward with Tesla and SpaceX, right? The idea behind this generator is we provide a much quicker time to market, and all of the power we're putting into this to minimize the initial that these other projects will need to put out. They won't have to hire a dev team of 12 people because our program can do everything for them. It's nuts when you think about it. It's absolutely insane.
CEO.
Every day I think about this.
Yeah, you could have a founder CEO that knows nothing about code. He just takes a refresher course or just a small little course on the generator through the open source foundation. I mean, not even having to take a course. You just go in there, you upload the code. You know, he has an idea, he uploads the code, and then he just adds some properties, and there you go. Months of work just done, like instantaneously, because it speeds things up so much. And it's really incredible. It even plays into the Launchpad side of things. I mentioned a Launchpad a couple months ago. Now we really have an opportunity where we have all this revenue coming in. We have essentially an accelerator, but not in the sense that it accelerates companies by hiring out personnel for them and taking a huge chunk of their equity, but it accelerates companies literally by developing things much faster. And I can't stress it enough on.
Yeah, I know we've been like secretive on this while we've been developing it in the background, and people may ask like why we haven't released it ahead of time with market sentiment the way it was and everything else. It's because we chose the correct time to release it. We wanted to make sure we had the work done. And one of the questions coming out of the community now, TJ or Henry, whoever can answer this, what stops other people from just taking our source code? I know there's some options in code where you can hide the source code. People may be able to use it without viewing the source code. What are our plans on that to prevent somebody from simply just cloning it?
Yeah. So the source code itself is yours. I mean, like if you want your source code to be validated, anyhow you need to submit the source code to Etherscan, right? And Etherscan verification, it allows other people to see your source code. So the thing is that source code, the normal source code, is for everybody to see it. But the thing is that how you can understand easily, this is what we will keep it in the platform.
Well,
so
and I think what they're getting at is the source code of the generator. Guys, when it comes to source code with smart contracts, it's already available out there. It's just extremely difficult to understand. If you go on Etherscan, anyone that has a decentralized company, their smart contract is right there for anyone to take pretty much. I mean, there might be some encrypted pieces, but generally speaking, it's out there. the core logic of the generator itself, though, that's proprietary. And obviously that's, not going to be shared out. But as far as source code generated by it, with the very inherent nature of the blockchain being that everything is publicly distributed, it's not necessarily going to be hidden. It's just that since we're first to market with this, and it's going to be part of our foundation, it's always going to back our ecosystem. And that 10% that I mentioned coming in is going to be a huge addition to our reserve and the backing of our token. Is that what they're getting at, Ryan?
I would guess. It's just a text question I got, so I mean, I would assume that was about right. Trying to scroll through, find more questions too. Seems like they're pretty hyped about it.
Oh yeah. And guys, if you want a prime example of someone that's already committed to the ARC Foundation and using our generator, using our technology, and partnering with us, a prime example is StarCard. And they're doing some pretty incredible things too, if I say so. And if you just think about the numbers flowing into the market every day, the sheer volume of money coming in and out, and then consider that every project built with the generator will contribute 10% back to ARC and to the revenue share, it's going to give us an extremely solid base behind the token. And that base will be backed by price floors. It's going to be backed by a dashboard to where you're able to see, for example, like looking at OHM, at Ohm, you know exactly what price floor it's at, how much Ohm, or how much an Ohm is backed by a certain dollar amount or a certain amount. You're going to have that. You're going to have all this revenue coming in, and it just gives us a really solid backing, a really solid position in the space with how much money's coming in. And yeah, I mean, it's really incredible. And to do some numbers, I know we have people doing projections right now when it comes to our swap, when it comes to the NFT marketplace. But just imagine if we just capture 10% of the space and we have 10% of the daily volume coming in from the space, how much money is going to be coming into ARC daily? And how many people are going to want to hold ARC on their balance sheet, bringing the buy pressure up enormously? Everyone's going to want to hold ARC.
Here's a yeah. I mean, I know I'm holding ARC. Here's a good one. What do we think may be the first thing we use this generator on? I mean, I have my own opinions, and I've got my eye on some things I'm looking at to incorporate. But what do you guys think the first thing we would use this generator on to bring into our ecosystem?
I have an idea. Why not we have a consensus over the community? Like for example, we have swap, right? We have bridge. We have other things we can try out. But if the community is like we have Paul, something like that. So
Let's do
I mean,
it.
like,
Yeah,
just my idea.
you want to see what they would want?
Yeah, let's make something that people will use it. Our community will use it. That's
New
my
clone.
exactly.
Koala swap. That's my thing.
Well, swap.
A Zomplex quote generator. That's where it's at. I've gotten several ideas, guys, and I might get in trouble for saying it, but I've been looking into things like the idea of using chain link keepers, right, for off-chain transactions, which gives you like MEV protection on limit orders, take profit orders, stuff like that, completely off-chain. You don't hit the Ethereum memory pool. So you can't be front run, and then you're near gasless transaction. You can batch these transactions off chain using Chainlink, and we can just copy that. So that's one of the things I'm kind of excited about.
Henry, tell him how we were just talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
They're probably laughing at me in the background about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of things like we'd like to, the ideas. I mean, like, moving forward. For example, like, yeah, what about the, your UI stuff? So what about this, was it another cheaper, was it pools, right? What about it? So, yeah, I think I'm an engineer. I mean, what you guys want, I'll make it. That's all.
Uh, you know what? This is kind of off topic, kind of out of left field, right? Some of the community wants to know. TJ, you mentioned about how StarCard Sports Games is going to be incorporating everything we're building into theirs, and we'll be using the generator to help get all that up and going for them. And some of the community is actually curious to hear their leaders' point of view on what we can bring to help them go to
So,
market quickly.
okay. So I just want to say, guys, we briefly mentioned the generator to to StarCard Sports as a team communication type thing, but we didn't really communicate it to this level ever until today, externally outside of me and Henry. Um, that being said, though, there is a lot of value that we're building with StarCard. So yeah, Steve, if you want to hop on and kind of talk about what we're building here.
Put them on the spot. Oh. Dude, next time we're gonna bring Jacob on too, right? Really, just every time something goes wrong, I just kind of blame Jacob.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so
I'm sure he'll stick around for a while too.
yeah, I've told Jacob next AMA we're bringing him on, and the community can just crap on him.
Hey
Oh
guys,
no, it's Jacob. Oh God.
what are you saying about me? I'm out here trimming the hedge, listening to this nice little AMA going on, and here you are talking about me.
Aren't you supposed to be doing some QA?
How did you
Hey,
get out
look,
of your cage?
Ryan,
How's he out?
I took the key and locked Gareth in there, so I think we're going to be all good.
Oh, good to hear.
Well, Steve, if you want to take
So
it away a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, sure, yeah. So I mean, some of this I'm learning myself here. It's opening my mind to more, and it's actually shedding some light on some things that are making more and more and more sense, as we go here. But
Mm-hmm.
TJ, you shared with me, in our conversation, was it yesterday or day before, just some of your
Yesterday.
thoughts on yeah, I guess it was yesterday. Your thoughts on what you're going to be able to do with this in terms of, really creating within game, being able to provide these tools in this dashboard that are going to enable gamers within game to be able to
Mm-hmm.
access, really all of crypto in game, and the idea of even, having an HUD that can facilitate that, and then having a trading station at the Arc Bank in the Green Pavilion that brings all of this into game, I think is
Yep.
going to be, mind blowing. I mean, not having to leave, and do various things and leave game to do various DeFi functions. My response to you was, boy, we want to be good partners here. Obviously, we feel like both parties are going to do a lot for each other and help each other to grow, et cetera. But
Mm-hmm.
boy, that sounds like a ton of work, and um, we want to be respectful of your resources and your time and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So hearing about like what you're doing, it sounds like doing what you proposed is very realistic. So pretty exciting.
Absolutely. And yeah, what Steve is referencing, guys, if you're familiar with StarCard, it's essentially a metaverse. It's going to be P2E, bringing thousands, potentially millions of kids around the world uh, into it, to experience conversations with legends in whatever sport it may be in. It's soccer based, but in soccer, and they can play one-on-one games. It's pretty incredible. But our partnership with them essentially are part of the feel is to make staking viable and possible by connecting to our smart contracts and then taking that to the next level, not just providing basic farms for the users, but actually giving them really solid farms so kids can learn about finance in DeFi in game, and then actually being able to plant a farm in the metaverse and see their crops grow as their APY and their rewards grow side by side, which is really cool. It adds a 3D feel to that. But then connecting kids to to our NFT marketplace, connecting them to other chains through our bridge, for example. We're building a lot for them, and I mean, this is the vision of ARC. It's to be the basis for all of DeFi. You know, we have the ecosystem, we have the tools now. Why not let anyone expand? And then all they have to do is contribute back to the ecosystem, and the ecosystem will just keep on scaling on top of itself. And I think, you know, what StarCard is doing is incredible, and it's going to be an amazing example of a partnership where they're utilizing our tools to the fullest capabilities.
And this is an example of why we wanted to do this with you, TJ. You know, you're the rate at which you guys innovate, and the scale of you know what you're doing is just incredible. And I knew that from day one, and I just every single day that's reinforced. So
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming up, Steve, kind of last minute. That was not planned at all, guys. That was a community question that wanted him up here, and we went ahead and, you know, the community wants it. We'll do what we can. Appreciate you, Steve, stepping up.
Of course. I'll jump off.
No worries, man. Let's, we got about 10 minutes. Let's open it up. Anybody want to hop on the voice? You got any other questions for TJ or Henry? Feel free to raise your hands. We can bring some of you guys up. I think we've gotten through all the questions in the chat channel, so we'll open it up, see if anybody wants to hop up here. Go ahead and ask them live. The best AMA miner, we appreciate it, man. We knew this was going to be a big one. Everybody loves hearing Henry talk. I know it ain't me. I know it ain't TJ. It's all Henry, right?
Yep, all Henry.
I know, right, Landy? We've had some good AMAs in the past too. Oh, here's a good question, and I kind of know the answer to it, but we'll see. We'll get a group consensus here. With Coinbase launching their, I wouldn't call it an NFT marketplace, I'd call it Instagram for NFTs, with a bunch of racist comments in it. They're rolling out marketing, whatever. How are we trying to compete with this? And do we have a marketing firm helping us? Kind of a two-part question there.
Yes, we have a marketing firm helping us, although I have been liaising directly with some publications. So we have an exciting push coming up there, but no, as far as competing, we don't plan to compete with them. We're just going to innovate and aggregate their model, which at the end of the day, we're going to still be, our users will take advantage of being able to use our marketplace externally, and then be presented cheaper NFTs and other chains all in one place. But yeah, I mean, if you do want to get down to that level and talk about competing, we could talk about our fee structure a little bit. Ryan, if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, there's several things with ours, right? I know Nick has alluded to several of these in his posts already, and I may have alluded to some of them in the discussions in Discord, but not everybody has maybe seen those at the time that they were online, right? But there's a lot of different things, right? Right now, OpenSea in Coinbase, they charge some of the most exorbitant amounts for transactions on the market, right? We plan to charge the lowest, and then on top of that, half of that small fee we're collecting is getting redistributed to holders anyway. We offer things that some other competitors
Minting.
Don't offer, like lazy minting, right? The ability to pass the minting fee. For these smaller projects that may not be known, they don't have the upfront capital to mint an entire 10,000 collection. We offer the ability for them to lazy mint, right? You're able to not technically mint it until a buyer comes to buy it, right? So you can post all of your 10,000 collection, but it's not technically minted until the buyer comes and mints it, saving you the upfront costs. the ability that we're doing right now, right? And we've hired Jasper, you guys have seen, as our NFT accounts manager for a specific purpose. And that purpose is we want to give this one-on-one kind of interaction and support that these upcoming NFT projects and some more established NFT projects may not get from going to the likes of Coinbase or OpenSea, right?
Yep.
They're just these massive conglomerates. They're only in it for the money. They don't care about the people, and that's
Exactly.
that's how we vary. You've seen us sometimes, and you may not see what all is happening behind the scenes, but there is a lot going on with this one-on-one communication with these NFT projects. What do you need from us? What can we help you with? How can we help you succeed? We have all this suite of DeFi tools. Can we help you with these? And now the code generator that Landy's bringing up, right? We can help you deliver these things and get your time to market
Much
down from
faster.
6 months to 1 month, right? And we can do all of this stuff for you that these people are just not able to get anywhere else in this space. It's such a fast-moving space. Nobody cares about the little guy, right? It's how much money can you make on the first month, right? Well, you don't make enough. I don't want to deal with you. Go list your project and just see what happens, right? Appreciate all the comments, guys. Yeah, it's something I'm extremely passionate about. True NFT degen. And so with our ability to get in there and give these projects the one-on-one they need, give them all these additional tools, with their success leads to our success. And they're going to drive traffic, leads to more revenue, more benefit for all of our holders. So I'm extremely excited with what we've been building so far and what we have laid the foundation to continue to build. And my God, you guys are quick with those gifts. Wonderlic, let me answer this real quick, and then we'll get to Valentine, who stepped up on stage. How do we plan on scaling the support model? Well, we've already scaled it twice. So we've had our entire intern team going and coordinating with all of these NFT projects. And I've had them setting up this entire spreadsheet where we all keep track of what everybody's doing, who we're working with. And then I've, bringing my sales experience into this, I've been working with all of these projects in the background. And as we're scaling now, we've now brought in we've upped one of our interns, Jasper, which you've seen, to a straight-up NFT accounts manager, and that is now his sole purpose is to help manage purely these NFT accounts. Because we see the benefit of all of these NFT projects and what it can bring, and so we've already scaled there, and we'll continue to scale as we see necessary. So we've scaled twice already into the NFT space, Wonderlic, and we will continue to do so as necessary.
And I just want to reiterate, how much we are about destroying barriers and everything our NFT marketplace. It's in line with our generator. It's in line with our entire philosophy. I mean, it's literally free for people to sell on our marketplace. They can mint. The buyer has to pay for the minting process. Any artist, regardless of where they're from, can go on there. They can mint their NFTs and they don't have to pay. It's huge. And then being able to form direct relationships with all these projects, having co-marketing cycles with them, negotiating AMAs, having a shared marketing calendar. It's stuff that goes on behind the scenes, but it's incredibly huge for small projects to feel that type of support.
Ali, I believe, so Ali asks how much of the generator's done in a rough timeline. I believe Henry already answered this earlier. It's over 60% done, and we've got, less than probably about 4 weeks.
And the core
completion.
functionalities of it are pretty much done right now. Right,
Yep.
Henry? I mean, the logic behind it. Should we post a video on how fast it generates?
Yeah, we'll be releasing some sneak peeks on that on the YouTube with this AMA stuff. We'll get it with Logan and we'll have it splice it together, and that'll be great. But we brought Valentine up here. Let's if anybody's unaware, Valentine, probably our newest ambassador. Extremely excited to have him on board.
I did not want to interrupt. I have been sitting here the whole time, basically speechless. Like my head literally exploded off of my body. But I do have a question, because from, and I think I think we started to address it, but we got into source code and then it kind of went from there. But I think one of the things being that you all have spent so much time and effort and energy and knowledge building this arc generator, right? That's what arc reactor, whatever we're calling it. Are we taking steps to protect that intellectual property, or was that the comment that was followed up saying that because it's going to be on the blockchain that the source code would be available to anyone and everyone and they would be able to copy it?
No.
I was just, okay.
So it generates, the contracts it generates, of course, if projects want to go to mainnet, it's going to be available on the blockchain. But the core logic behind how the generator works itself will not just be open source. Henry, do you want to touch on this a little bit more? The idea is essentially to open it up to everybody, but not like the core tool. It's just
And
the
that's what I
logic behind it.
thought. And I was just making sure that we're protecting the source code, I guess. Like others can't hide from us now. That was more my question. What steps are we taking to protect that so it can't be replicated?
Yeah.
Henry, you want to touch on that?
So basically, there are two types of source code that we discuss here. The first one is the source code of the arc generator as a platform, and the second part is that once you use the arc generator, it can generate source code for your own project. So for the first part, that's what TJ mentioned. We will select based on how we are going to protect our intellectual property rights here, how we want to protect between all the competitors there. So obviously there are some parts that will be open sourced. The goal is that so other people can easily learn about it, so it can bring a faster time for people to understand what is this technology is all about. But the part where it will generate the source code, I think it will be kept
In the
in the
developer's
back.
basement. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. The basement we let Henry out of
We'll
for
make
an
Eric
hour to
swallow
do
the
this.
key.
So
Yeah, for
thank
the
you. That
part,
definitely answered my question.
yeah, for the second, I think it will be open source because how can you validate your smart contract if you're not, if you cannot have the source code, right? And you need to push that to Etherscan. So yeah.
Yeah, that right there is going to be like a huge seller, right? Once somebody comes in and they take 6 months of work and pump it out in 2 weeks, and everybody starts looking on there like, wow, these guys came to market in 2 weeks. Oh my God, what did they do? It's just going to drive more traffic. People on these
and then
upcoming
powered by
projects like,
Arc.
oh, I want in on that. Powered by Arc, how do I do that? I want to come to market in 2 weeks. Yeah.
And I think one of the things as well here that we didn't quite touch on enough earlier is that the level that this technology provides is it's really incredible. And working with one of the top 10 market cap projects in this space previously, they wanted to take this generator and form a business model around it to essentially put chains on it and stop just anyone from using it. They wanted to charge millions of dollars off of it. It was going to be a proprietary product purely for launching their own projects and then for launching projects that they wanted to fund. And this was all done by a top 10 market cap project. And Henry essentially just went, no, I want this to be open for the world.
Right.
It's incredible, guys.
All right, I believe I've gone through all the questions in the chat. Anybody else have any other questions? We probably got just a few minutes left. I know it was a lot of information. When marketing, well, we'll slap Nick around a little bit. I'm definitely going to mint that as one of the Genesis NFTs on the marketplace. Don't you worry. Will it generate more mousse for Nick? That's what I hear. More mousse for his hair, for sure. We got one more here. We got Babs.
Hey there. Thanks for having me, Henry. I just wanted to say I'm just so grateful for your heart and your generosity, because a lot of people could, in your position, have capitalized on it, and your heart is for people and for this space. And so I just want to say thank you for being this amazing role model and a gift of your intellect that you're sharing it with the world. So just super grateful. That's all I wanted to say. So thank you, and thank you for the rest of the team supporting and making this all happen for everybody. So thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thanks.
you.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you for the comments.
Henry's starting to tear up a little bit.
All right,
guys.
well, we'll about round it up there. We've gone pushed over the hour. I think we've got through everybody's questions. We appreciate everybody. I know some the time zone for some people may not be the best, but it was what we could do with the time zones that we all work in, being a very international group from every corner of the globe.
Very international.
Yeah, extremely, right? Yeah, all over the place, every time zone. Appreciate everybody. If you have more questions, I'm going to leave this chat. It will be read only after this, so you guys can scroll through. A lot of the questions were answered in the chat as well. We'll get this recording out and over to Logan. He'll do some editing, and we'll get that out. And TJ has promised to drop some alpha and maybe a little bit of a sneak peek on the generator in action for you guys over the weekend. So keep an eye out for that. You can find it in our post-hype channel. Once again, appreciate everybody for coming out. I know it may be late for some of you. Thanks again. We're looking forward to everything we have upcoming. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the general channel in the Discord or on the Telegram, or hit us up on the Twitter, no problem. Somebody's always around to help you guys out. And thanks again for showing up, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.